Hello and thank you. My name is Lisa Donaldson from Dublin City University, but I'm here this morning or this afternoon representing ePortfolio Ireland, which is a group I founded back in 2017. So we've been around a long time. So thanks to Dara for giving us a shout out earlier. And we are a professional learning network for e-learning practitioners as well as researchers. So we seek to support them. So what I'm here to do today is to give you the ABCDs of creating an ebook and some of the stories that and the cases that Dara shared with you. Those are the kinds of things that we've captured in an ebook. So I just wanted to share how that happened with you. So I'm very briefly going to talk about where the idea for this ebook came from, then the tool that we used, the process we went through, and then give you the actual product, the ebook itself, because we're officially launching it today in this session. So you're right live at the coalface. So where the idea initially came from, ePortfolio Ireland had run an e-conference a couple of years ago, back in 2018, and we had collaboratively developed an ebook that came out of that conference and the participants of the conference. So subsequently then at the ABLE annual conference, now ABLE are an association, I'm on the board with them. It's an international ePortfolio professional development network. And we connected in with them through ePortfolio Ireland. So at their annual conference during the summer, there was a huge interest and a lot of conversation about using a similar approach to this collaborative development of sharing of good practice with ePortfolio. And so on behalf of ePortfolio Ireland and ABLE, we set that process into motion. The first ebook that we created, and I'll share these links with you, they're also on the ePortfolio Ireland website, was an ebook focused specifically on ePortfolio-based assessment. So we had, I suppose, many cases or case studies or exemplars across a range of disciplines, and we put them together in an ebook fashion. So we decided not to recreate the wheel, but to use a very similar tool and a very similar structure for this new ebook. So that tool that we used is called Book Creator. It's a very, very simple tool. I tried a number of different platforms before I settled on Book Creator. And even though I'm a learning technologist, I couldn't get to grips with them. I came across Book Creator quite randomly, and I found it a really brilliantly simple tool to enabling the publication of text and various other digital media in a lovely format. So again, I'm going to share the links to both of those books with you now just in a moment. But to give you a little bit more information on the tool itself, so there's a number of different frames you can use. There's a number of different, there's note annotations you can add. There's music, audio, there's images. You can import files from a range of platforms. And the best part of it all is that it is very accessible because there is a read along option. You can put in alt text for your images. So really it's quite an accessible tool. And probably the most important part of it is it's very simple to use. It's actually designed for children, which is why I guess I found it so simple to use. So in 1 minute, I'm just going to give you a snapshot of how you might use the tool. sure I'm just going to pause it, because genuinely that is how simple it is. I'm pretty passionate about sharing good practice, and particularly about sharing good practice around ePortfolio. And literally at the press of a button, you're able to publish really quality online content. Which brings me to the process and how we made all of this happen. So once we decided on the tool, we reached out to the national community through ePortfolio Ireland via email, via Twitter, and ABLE did the same, which is, as I said, the international body for professional development for ePortfolio. And we got a lot of interest from a lot of people who wanted to share their practice. And through the inimitable Tom Farrelly, known to everybody, supported us. He's also on ePortfolio Ireland, and he supported all of those authors in a supported writing webinar. So he ran the webinar and broke down the actual writing piece into 3 20-minute writing blocks, because we're all time poor. What we wanted to do was to I suppose, run a webinar where you actually had a product at the end. So we worked during those times. As you can see, we did have a structure very similar, not identical, but a similar structure to the first ebook, that based on learnings from the first ebook, where it wasn't quite as structured, we gave everybody categories or sections that we wanted consistency across the book and across these case studies of practice, and also indicative word counts. So in these blocks of time, all the participants blanked their screens, all on Zoom, and worked to a clock. They worked to a clock within a Google document, so it was one shared Google Doc. And it was wonderful to see that being populated over the course of the 1.5 hour webinar. At that point then, I took that content, reviewed the content after toing and froing and going back to editors to encourage perhaps some writing that hadn't been finished, to be finished, to encourage them to add in media, images and video of what they were doing, because the platform supports that. Then I transferred everything to Book Creator, which brings me to now. So what I'm actually going to do is just show you what the book looks like. And this is Book Creator itself. And this is the end product of that overall process. And as you can see, we have quite a number of contributions from both sides of the Atlantic. And I'd like to just acknowledge all of the authors for the huge amount of work that they put into writing, well, documenting first, writing, and then sharing their practice. So what I'd like to do now is to just stop sharing briefly, and I just want to send those links into the chat for you. So you can all take a moment to have a review of the book, which we formally and officially launch right now. So I'd like to thank you for listening to me rattle through that. Hopefully I'm within time. Eamon, you don't have to haul me off the stage with a crook. So I'll pass back to you.
Fantastic. I think you get some extra kudos for being the quickest presentation maybe this afternoon, and leaving lots of time for Q&A. I absolutely love what you're doing there. The Book Creator looks absolutely fab. I can't wait to give it a go. And the whole area of ePortfolios, I've actually created a little chat discussion in the Whova app I'll take those links and pop them in there as well, just so people can get access to them. But I love the idea of the webinar as well. That was absolutely fantastic. And are you planning another one?
I've only just pressed publish on it today. Eamon, give me a chance to draw breath. No, we found it just a useful tool. It's the first time we've done the supported writing process with an ebook. This is the third ebook that I've done over the last 3 years or so. So the original one with ePortfolio Ireland, and then we just recently just before Christmas, released one on DCU lecturers and across all disciplines and their ePortfolio case studies. So that was December, and now this one. But this is the first time we used that supported writing technique, and it worked brilliantly well. And I have to say, we also did that in ePortfolio Ireland with the special issue of the journal that Dara mentioned as well. And it was just a really productive use of time, because often webinars are great and then you walk away and then nothing ever happens from it. Whereas when we managed to get people in the room, and Tom Farrelly beat everybody into shape and bullied people into getting their writing done then and there. So while the contributions weren't complete in any fashion, the guts of it were there, so you kind of felt that you could go back then and complete it in your own time. So that process worked well.